everybody. Hi everyone. You're welcome to World Wetlands Day on Sliabh Beagh. We're out here to give you a little bit of a talk about the mountainside and about the bogs and that. My name's Rory and this is Sliabh Beagh. We've got the same coat on. Listen, one of us has a hat, one doesn't have a hat, so that's how you're going to tell us apart. So, Sliabh Beagh is a blanket bog, and it's an upland blanket bog, or a mountain blanket bog we call it. And it's right here on the border. So at the moment we're in County Fermanagh, but it also goes between County Tyrone and then it goes into County Monaghan. So it's on the border between the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland. Now, we're going to get a little bit closer to the camera to do a bit of shouting here because it's very windy out here today. So we brought you out to see the lovely views on the hillside on this World Wetland Day. And as you can see behind me, we just haven't quite got the weather that we'd hoped for. I can tell you, it's a beautiful spot up here, and there are fantastic views up here in this mountain here. We're on an upland blanket bog, so all around us is an open bog area going out that direction up the hill. Down there then there's forestry plantation, but out in the open bog, it's one of the best blanket bogs in all of Northern Ireland. It's a great spot altogether. So, we're here on World Wetlands Day and we work on an environmental project called the CAN project. And the CAN project was put together when a funding stream from the European government came along and it gave some money, under Interreg it was called, and then that money was administered by a body called the Special European Programmes Body, and we got that money under our project. The CAN project is a group of different bodies working between Scotland, the north of Ireland and the Republic of Ireland, and we're doing conservation action on different sites. So here in Sliabh Beagh is one of those sites, and this is an upland or a mountain blanket bog. Now this is a different type of bog to the bog you would have down in your lowland areas. They are raised bogs. The blanket bogs are spread out over the whole hill area here, and can have some quite deep peat in them, but it doesn't tend to be as deep as in those lowland bogs. Now some of our other partners like Ulster Wildlife are doing great work in helping to restore these lowland bogs. On again World Wetlands Day we talk about all of our lovely wetlands up further north from here, up in around Peatlands Park and that. Great work that's going on there. But on Sliabh Beagh we've been doing a lot of work as well to try and help restore this bog. Now the whole thing, one of the important things about bogs is that they're wetlands. They store our carbon dioxide out of the air in peat, and that happens with the way the plants grow and how the water is around here. So it rains in the bogs, the bogs are very wet, the plants grow and they don't really rot, they just get compacted together and squashed together. We have some very important plants up here in our wetlands, in our bogs. And I'm going to take you to a drain just behind us here. We're going to have a quick look at some of these plants if we can see them. Now the drains are a problem, and these are one of the things we're going to talk about is the drains and how we're going to try and move. We're just going to walk a little bit over this way here if we can, and we're going to talk a little bit about some of the plants. We're going to go over here, we've got some better examples over here. You can see when we're walking on this surface, it's rough, it's up and it's down, and sometimes the walking isn't the easiest. These are our wild areas, or our bogs. So we're just going to stop here, we'll have a look at this spot here. We can see some of our stuff. I'm going to get in close here. So, a long time ago this bog would have been drained with the intention of planting trees in it for forestry, but they never were planted. So this is an old drain on the bog here, and you can see there's a lot of water in it, and it's carrying the water off the bog much too quickly. We don't want that water moving quickly off the bog. We want the water to move very slowly across the surface and through the peat. But the thing, our star attraction here, and the thing that really makes the bogs what they are, is these. Now I'm not a moss expert, but I think this is our Magellan moss, this red moss. And this is the plant that grows on the bog slowly every year, and it dies, and it doesn't really rot when it dies. It gets compacted down, it gets turned into peat. And sphagnum is amazing, it's a sponge. If we take that moss here, it can hold almost 20 times its weight in water. Now we're going to do that test where we squeeze it to see how much water can come out of it. And if you guys see that water there, look, when I squeeze it, this moss can just hold an amazing amount of water. Water really comes out of that moss. So these are important. These mosses are really important to us. We want to keep these mosses growing here in the bog. We want the bog as wet as possible for these mosses. We have other plants here then as well. We have our headers like this here. These headers, and they're very important to some of the other the animals that live up here, particularly the red grouse. He needs to eat this header when it's living up here. And then we have another little plant. We have our bilberry. We just don't see it here. We had it a little earlier. Where is our bilberry growing? back this direction here a little bit. Other important plants that we have growing on the bog. So Sliabh Beagh is a big area, it's a big upland area, and it is actually very far north. So we're right in the Republic of Ireland now, and we're very close to the border. Sorry, we're in the north of Ireland now, and we're very close to the border of the Republic of Ireland, and the bog stretches across the border on both sides. And we're actually right level with the border with the Republic in County Monaghan, but we're further north than the mountains of Mourne, so it's very far northern area. People don't really tend to protected under Northern Ireland legislation right where we're standing as an ASSI, or an Area of Special Scientific Interest, and it's also a Ramsar wetland. And the Ramsar is those big network of wetlands all around the world, and they were protected under or they were identified underneath the Ramsar Convention, and so it's a really important site here. Then again, on top of all that, it's an Area of Special Scientific Interest, or an SAC, and it is that was laid down under some European legislation, the Habitats Directive. So this is our blueberry that we have here. We call it the bilberry, growing here. This time of year we don't get any real leaves and there's any of the berries, but this is one of our superfoods. So if you were to come here in sort of July time or August time, you'd have lots and lots of little bilberries, or small little Irish blueberries, growing on that. You can come out and you can pick them and you can eat them, and they're as good as any you'll get, better than the blueberries you buy in the shop, and that's locally grown. Now, one of the problems we have in our bog here, we're going to walk back this way a little bit, is that it was drained, as I was saying. We have those drains, they're carrying all the water out of the bog. And our environmental project here, the CAM project, was set up, and one of the things we're doing is trying to block those drains, fill them in, slow the water moving out of the bog. And the thing is, if you have a bog with lots of drains in it, it's not a healthy bog. The bog needs to be the bog needs to have no drains in it, and that's where you have your healthy bog. So what we do is we put dams into the drains, and that's like stitching up the wound, and it allows the bog to slowly heal itself again. When we get over here, I'm going to pass you over to Paul, and he's going to tell you a little bit about how we actually went about blocking the drains, the technology that's involved with that. So you can see we're walking here, and I know we're in the middle of another lockdown, and a lot of people are stuck indoors. In hopes that we would have had better views to show people today what it's like being out and about, and they would be able to see what's going on and see what's around them. But unfortunately, we have a bit of a cloudy day, so I'm going to bring you up to Paul here, and he's going to tell you a bit of the detail about how the drains are blocked like.
This is an example of one of our peat dams. So if you take a closer look here, so what we're hoping to achieve is to raise the water level. As you can see here, it's working here, the water level is rising. So to construct these peat dams, there's a number of steps. Step number one, take some straw from the ground. So the drain is, we cut some of the straw, this type of material, take it from the drain. Second step is to cut out a key. So either side of the drain, about 50 centimetres each side, we cut a hole each side of the drain. So then this is then filled with peat. So where do we get our peat? If you look up here, this is what we call a barn. So this is where we take our peat for the peat dams. So the peat is taken from here, placed into the dam, and built around the dam, so the quay and the drain are filled up with peat. Then the straw, which we took from our first step from the drain, is placed back on top of the peat. So the straw and the vegetation, so that can grow over the peat again. And then any remaining straw or peat we have is placed back into the borrow pit.
And when was this done, Paul?
This is done in November. As you can see already, the vegetation is starting to grow back. The water level rises in a few hours straight away nearly. So our main dams are peat dams, and also if you look down here, we have a number of timber peat dams. So this is an example of one of our timber peat dams. So again, the same process as before. We take the straw from the drain, put out a key either side, so about 50 centimetres each side that to structure the dam and to keep it intact. But the same process, as you can see, we use a borrow pit to get our peat, and the peat is placed on the dam, filled around again, and the straw from earlier is placed on top of the dam, and then the borrow pit is filled up with any remaining peat or vegetation.
You can see we walked along here. The aim is to bring the water level back up. These dams would have been empty, or not empty, the water would have been right down the very bottom, or these drains, sorry, would have been water's right down the very bottom. The water has moved very quickly out of them. But you can see here, the water level is right back up to the level of the bog surface here. Paul's just standing right there at the edge. You can see that, and that's what we want. That means the water is going to travel back out across the bog, and now over quite a while, the water is going to, these drains are going to block back in here. I'll hand the phone back to you, Paul. So over a number of years, these drains are going to fill in fully, and the moss is going to grow back into them, and then we're going to have healthy drains again. So that's just kind of a quick little roundup. We got some other really important stuff that happens up here in the bog. We got some really important animals and stuff. We have our birds that live up here, like our snipe and our hen harrier and our red grouse. And now the hen harrier is an amazing bird. The male is very white, has these black wingtips to it. And if you can imagine being up here on a misty, cloudy day like this, and a large white bird comes out of the mist towards you hunting, it can be a really amazing sight. It's a really amazing thing to see. Like, we just thought we'd take you out here on World Wetlands Day to try and show you some of the sites that we have up here on the site. We would have liked to show you a bit more of the view, but unfortunately we just didn't have the view to show you today with the way it is. But anyways, thank you everybody, thanks for coming along, and hopefully you enjoyed that. Like.